Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumarat Pranamastu. We have offered our grateful pranams and the Nama flowers at his lotus feet. Before we offer our today's prayers, we shall see once again the glory of his name. This is the season for the students, the examination season. We all know how it precedes the examination fear, and then the examination tension, not only to the students but to the parents, but also to the parents, more so to the parents, especially the mother who sits with the sons and daughters and studies with them. So much so that I often think the mothers could write better examination. Now, every time we call out to God, invoke His grace, and do anything, we see how special it becomes. Now it's time for the students as well as for the parents to chant more and more of Bhagwan's Nama. They can be assured of greater fruit. Here is one incident. We had already seen so many. There was a remarkable one among the whole lot. A candidate who was going to write his CA fell sick, got fever, and for 5 days the fever was raging. He was unable to do anything, far less study for a very difficult examination. But he said to himself, okay, I may not be able to study for the examination because all that's happening in the body. I can still chant Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama and pray that I should be all right in a day or two, and maybe I would attempt the examination. So decided was he, so determined was he, that he took to chanting the name despite fever and all. But chanting, the only thing that he could do, and what a thing to do. He did not want to waste a single minute in suffering the fever. He gave himself heartily to the Nama chanting. On the 5th day, the day of the examination, when he woke up, he felt very much better. And then the thought came to him that he should attempt. He should go to the examination hall and attempt it. I'm talking about those days before these computers came. And then when he sat for the examination with Yogi's Nama very much on his tongue, there were multiple choice questions and he did not know any answer. How would he? But then he knew that which knows everything. So, a random choice, he just ticked something with Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, tick, tick, tick. He went on ticking the answers accompanied by his Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He did not even think that he was chanting the name. The name is an all-knowing entity. It's not a mere name like yours and mine. It is the presence, the supreme presence, the supreme consciousness. And there is nothing it does not know. And true to his belief, he got his pass. When so many others failed with so much effort and hard work. In Geeta, Bhagwan Krishna says, once you make up your mind to live for God, he says, you have decided well. That's what matters. So you see here, it's not wisdom or anything that pushed him into chanting the name. It was desperation. There was nothing else he could do. And he was free. He did not even expect to pass. He simply attempted because he was feeling well. He continued chanting the name and he just went on ticking, not taking a choice, not knowing he was doing the right thing. He simply did, even as a machine would, as an instrument, just calling out to Yogi Ramsuratkumar and ticking and ticking. Now how could this fail him? Because he was invoking the grace of the all-knowing entity, the Namavatar. Now, some days back, one Shri Shridharan had come from Hosur and he had brought a huge mala, a Nama mala. They were small chits of paper rolled and strung together into a mala. Then he told me the story behind it. He said his daughter was studying in Philippines, the MBBS course. After finishing that, after giving examinations there and passing well, when she came to India, she had to go through another examination for recognition, an Indian examination for recognition, so that she could do. It's only when she gets a pass in the examination, she would be recognized as a doctor and she gets a license to practice as a doctor. A very difficult situation. And Shri Shridharan said that 18,000 people were going to write, and generally every year only 9% of the whole lot would get a pass. So he was very much afraid, but then he knew Yogi Ramsuratkumar would come to his rescue. A great chanter of Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama, he decided he would accompany his daughter to the examination hall. A very difficult examination for 6 hours. This is what he said. And all the 6 hours, he was waiting outside, writing the name. Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, all the time praying that his daughter should get a good pass. Got a pass. He said out of 18,000 people who attempted the examination, only 1,400 passed out. And his daughter was one of them. They were so happy and overwhelmed. His wife, Geeta, she separated each nama, made a roll out of it, and then began to strung it into a mala. They felt it should adorn Bhagwan's murti. Because it was no nama mala, it was the mala of his glory, what his nama could do. So we were very happy to hear that. So this is a hint to all the parents who are very worried about their sons and daughters' examination. You cannot go into the examination and write for your children, but you can definitely stay at home or accompany them to whichever place they've been allotted to, and spend the time chanting or writing Bhagwan's Nama, invoking His grace to accompany the children's examination, the writing. And you can rest assured that Bhagwan would do his best in the circumstances. Aren't we all gifted that Bhagwan, we were able to see someone like our Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, in our midst. He was so easily accessible. And what's more, He has given us, He has left a very precious Nama, a Nama that works fast and achieves things for us. We have to celebrate this great grace. Again, some days back, one Shri, Kannadasan had come. He was sitting there and he sang the Nama in a specific way, which was very nice to hear. And then he came to me, and when I asked him, he told me his story. He said, in 1997, he had come to the ashram. He was employed as a driver of the vehicles of Madurai Medical College. And one of the doctors there wanted to visit our ashram, have darshan of Bhagwan. And so he had come to the ashram, but he would not enter. The Dr. Amma asked him again and again to accompany, but he refused and he stood outside because he had a very bad opinion of Yogi Ramsuratkumar at the time. He did not care one way or the other. But after the morning darshan, Bhagwan was returning in the car, and as soon as the car crossed the gate outside, the car slowed down. And this man, on his own volition, without thinking, he stood up, folded his hands, and looked at Bhagwan straight, not even knowing what he was doing. It just happened. Bhagwan raised both his hands, looked straight in his eye, and then began to move. But despite this grace, the man forgot all about it, and several years passed. In 2016, he had gone to an astrologer. He wanted to know something about his future because of his problems. But surprise of surprises, the astrologer, instead of predicting his future, said to him, "Why don't you take me for your guru? I could teach you astrology." He was taken aback. He said, "What? I learning astrology and from you? What are you saying?" A few years before that, he had happened to read Shri Balakumaran's writings on Yogi Ramsuratkumar. He was very impressed, and then he regretted when he found out that Bhagwan had attained Mahasamadhi in 2001, and it moved him to tears to think that he had wasted so much time. So he at least had the Nama with him. So he started to chant. So when he went to see this astrologer, he was already chanting the name of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. So Kannadasan said to the astrologer, "I don't know, I know nothing about this astrology, but maybe if somebody like you should come after 1 year to my house in search of me, then I would take it up. Not now, I'm not sure, I know nothing about these things." He backed out. And then 1 year after, he says again, it was a wonder of wonders, that the astrologer came all the way to his house. Then he felt that he should keep his word, and then he accepted the astrologer as his guru and began to learn. He did not learn much, but then the same day, the astrologer, the guru, asked him to draw the horoscope boxes. He said, "How could I do it? I know nothing about it. I know very little. I've learned very little from you. I cannot do it. I cannot practice." Then the guru said, "When the guru is with you, you cannot make a mistake. You don't worry. You start." That astrologer seemed to know much more. He must have been very intuitive. So this man, this Kannadasan, drew the horoscope of the planets, and it came out right, to his surprise. And then he understood the knowledge could be passed on from the guru to the disciple, and that could happen only with the greater guru's grace. So he decided, before I start practicing the knowledge I have received from you, I would like to go to my guru's stan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Only if he permits, I will do this practice. Because this astrology requires a lot of intuition and knowledge. So he rushed here to Tiruvannamalai, stood before our Bhagwan's Murti and talked to him mentally. He said, Bhagwan, if you assure me that you would be with me, then I could take to this practicing astrology. You have to give me an indication. So he begged Bhagwan for his consent. And then he came out. Before he left the ashram, he came to the office, picked up a Sharanagatam issue. And then, very casually, he came out. He just opened the Sharanagatam, and on the opened page, in a box, there was a sentence. And the sentence spoke, this beggar is with you, with your thoughts, words and actions. This beggar is always with you. When he read that, he was quite shaken. Only minutes before, he was standing before our Bhagwan, a very powerful Bhagwan, begging him to give an indication that he would be with him if he should take to practicing this astrology. And minutes later, when he came out, he picked up a magazine, opened, and he found the very sentence that he asked for, he begged for. This beggar is with you, with your thoughts, words and actions, always. What more he could ask for? He said, after that he started to practice, and it was going so well, to everybody's surprise, to his own surprise. He said, I don't know how the knowledge comes. And whatever I predict from the horoscope, it comes true too. It's all him, it's all Bhagwan who is doing it behind me. I cannot claim anything. I offer everything at his feet. Now this once again shows, if you trust the name which is the supreme conscious entity. The name is the named. The name is Bhagwan himself. His presence, all-pervasive, all-knowing, all-powerful presence. There is nothing it cannot do, there is no place where it is not. And there is nothing it does not know. When this Nama supports you by your invocation, the all-knowing, all-powerful Nama can help, guide and protect you meticulously. So let us resort to the name, the all-powerful name, the eternal entity, the supreme consciousness for all our actions, our plans, our actions. But one thing, you take up any prayer you want to realize, and you have to keep on chanting and writing and chanting and writing. Since many of us lack the required faith, the required depth in bhakti, the required concentration while chanting, we have to multiply the number. As I have often said, where there is lack of quality, you make it up with quantity. So it's very important you go on chanting and writing the name until you achieve success in it. You cannot simply say, I have written one notebook, or I have chanted 108 namas and nothing is happening. You have not paid the right price. Everything has price. Ordinary things. Like I used to say, if you want to buy a matchbox, you have to come out of your house. You have to find the right shop. A textile shop would not be able to give you that. So you have to go to the right shop and you must have the right amount of money. And what is more, the shop would be open, should be open. So many factors are involved. And there's a price that you pay. Not the money, but by effort as well. So what to say of achievements in greater fields, greater activities? So let us make up the lack of quality with quantity, and let's go on chanting or writing until we come to the Nama which gets it done. Now Bhagwan is here. We have been chanting the name twice a day for the sake of the world, for the sake of the freedom from this corona virus. It's still going on. We can only say that we have not paid the right price as yet. So let's go on doing it. Let's go on offering our prayers, offering the Nama flowers at his feet, day after day after day. He cannot keep himself away for long. Beforehand, he has to oblige us. Our pathetic appeals to him, to his generosity. Bhagwan, kindly bestow your grace upon this world in order to free the entire humanity from the clutches of this Rakshasic virus and bring back a dharmic normalcy in every aspect of life, everywhere. And Bhagwan uproot this panic from the hearts of people. People are still panicking because there's a new wave, they say, of new variants of corona, and there has been warning after warning. So only you can bring about a change in the course of events. So we beg you again and again for your immediate divine intervention. Uproot the fear and the negativities from the hearts of people. Arrest the spread of the disease. They're talking about new strains, new variants. If Bhagwan wants, he could do it within a fraction of a second. One look from him. And Bhagwan, all those medicines, especially what India has produced and exporting it to other countries, as a goodwill, a gesture of goodwill, been much appreciated by the world all over. But you have to enter those medicines for them to work. And all these great, brave soldiers who are fighting the disease at the very risk of their lives, please give them protection and all-round well-being. And we also beg you for a lift to the economy and your support to the measures. Above all, you have made a precious gift to us, the gift of your name, the precious name, which carries your presence, which carries your grace, your all-powerful blessings. Please bless us with constant remembrance of your name and the attitude of being instruments, good instruments in your hands. And that we go about with deep gratitude. And Bhagwan, above all, we must remember again and again, bring to our mind that everything happens only by your will. And whatever happens, happens because it's necessary for our spiritual growth. And therefore, it's a definite blessing coming from you, from the Divine. So we should be able to see this grace in every happening of our life. We know it's a very powerful sadhana, but we need your blessings to practice that. So we beg you again and again for your abundant grace on all these prayers. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.